Well, this isn't the video that we intended to make. If you have been following our channel, then you know that we planned to be in Paris right now. And as you can see, based upon my background, we are not in Paris, and life had other plans for us. Honestly, this has been one of the scariest weeks for me. And it started the night before Thanksgiving. So the night before Thanksgiving, Tony and I were headed out to dinner, and we were driving through this really torrential downpour. It was dark, and this matters and it doesn't matter, I'm not really sure, but we arrived at the restaurant and the weather had cleared by the time we got there. And we got out of the car and Tony stumbled a little bit. And then when we got into the restaurant, he started saying that he felt dizzy and he felt nauseous. And so we debated back and forth whether we were going to stay, whether we were going to order something to go. And ultimately, Tony was insisting on staying. He thought that he would feel better in 10 minutes or so. And yet he wasn't going to order, but he knew I had been working all day. And so he wanted me to order something. And I did. But by the time the food arrived, he was saying how he didn't think that it was a good idea to stay. We got the food to go, and he just kept talking about how nauseous he was feeling and he felt dizzy. And then when we got up to leave, he could barely walk. And so I had to help him to the car. I drove home, and on the way home, he started to get sick. And so we pulled over, and he continued to get sick and basically was getting sick all the way home. It was like a 10-minute drive from the restaurant. And I was texting with ChatGPT in the restaurant, putting in the symptoms, trying to find out maybe what was going on. And when we got home, because he still couldn't walk, on the way there, I was saying to him when he started getting sick, we're going to the hospital. You need to go to the hospital. And Tony is the kind of person who is a no Band-Aids, no umbrella kind of guy. And so he insisted he was not going to the hospital. But when we got home, he still was having trouble walking. I had to help him into the house. And, you know, what's going through my mind is potential stroke, what is going on. And so he got into the bedroom, he was laying down, and meanwhile, ChatGPT is telling me, KJ, you need to call 911. Like, this is an emergency situation. And I was telling ChatGPT that Tony was saying he didn't want to go to the hospital. And ChatGPT said, if he starts vomiting again, it doesn't matter what he says, you call 911. And sure enough, he started vomiting again, couldn't even make it to the toilet, was throwing up in the sink in the bathroom. So I called 911. And they came and they got him, and they gave me instructions on, I had to drive separately. And we spent the next 3 days at the hospital. Lots of uncertainty as to what was going on, lots of testing. But before I go on, I do want to let you know that Tony is okay, and I'll let him share the rest of the story with you. So, as you can see, he's still alive. Thank God. And just to let everyone know before you go any further that Tony was diagnosed with something called vestibular neuritis, which is an inflammation of the ear, and it's caused by a virus. They think it's caused by like shingles, the herpes simplex virus, or even chicken pox that is dormant in the body, and that they don't really know, actually, at least according to what the neurologist told us, that they can't like be certain, as this is what they think causes it. But I'll tell you more about there's a full recovery, thank God. But it was a long process before we found out what was wrong.
Well,
we didn't know.
It took a day and a half to find out what was wrong, because the emergency room doctor, they gave me a CAT scan and no issues there. They gave me an MRI, no issues there. Then they gave me a second CAT scan with color contrast, I think they said. Mm-hmm. And that showed something very, very minor, which is actually good that they did that test, because it will be helpful to address that before that becomes a problem, that mm-hmm. minor thing.
But it's more age-related.
It's more age-related, mm-hmm. right.
Mm-hmm.
So this young guy, this doctor who looked
25. Dr. Orlando?
I was going to say 30.
Okay, yeah. More
because
like
I can't imagine that he was 25.
No. He was young, though. Yeah.
Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
And understood, as Canadians are wont to do, my philosophy of no Band-Aids, no umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So he
was great.
He put me through these tests with his hands in my eyes.
And lights.
And he actually almost made me vomit. I mean, the test was... But it brought it all back. I mean, they had begun to control that. Mm-hmm. And it was bringing it back because it was causing my eyes to go like this. Mm-hmm. And he could tell that my eyes were kind of flickering as I was doing that. And the truth is that when he found that, I realized I hadn't been able to watch TV the whole time I was in the hospital, or even really have my eyes open, because my eyes were doing that. But I hadn't really kind of connected the dots. Mm-hmm. So anyway, when he did that, it was like a light bulb went off in him, and he said, it's vestibular neuritis. Is that correct?
Just vestibular neuritis.
Okay,
correct.
I never get it right.
Yeah.
I got it right the first time.
You did.
He felt so sure about it that it made us feel good about it. And at that point, he said, there's really nothing more that the hospital can do for you other than observe you to guarantee that is what it is. Like, guarantee is not the right word, but to ensure that is the right diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And there is a form of physical therapy that they do if you choose to, because it is the type of thing that just goes away on its own. It just takes time. Yeah, exactly. And I said how long. He said it could be an hour, it could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a month. And I think you read the research, it could be 6 months.
Some research says 3 to 6 months. It just depends.
So, but when I got to the hospital and I was in the emergency room, that was the worst time, because we were there for about 16 hours, I think. And not through any fault of the hospital or the doctors.
Well, it was Thanksgiving Eve.
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving Eve.
Into Thanksgiving Day.
The good news is you were able to stay with me the whole time, and you really took care of me the whole time. And then I think the next late morning, they got us a room. Mm-hmm. And Cleveland Clinic, the rooms are...
really nice.
You know, they're almost like little apartments. That's a slight exaggeration. But, but they have, there are only one person to a room.
I had my own recliner where I could sleep after like no sleep in over 30 hours.
You were able to stay
the entire time.
The only time you left, I think, was either to get me clothes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, and I was going to talk about that, like what
so
happened as a result of that.
So when Dr. Orlando made that diagnosis, from that point, there was kind of a working decision that I would stay overnight that night. Mm-hmm. And the next morning they would see, how things were. And
if you were able to walk steady.
Yeah. And the next morning he came in and, I said, am I going home? He said, do you want to go home or do you want to stay? Mm-hmm. And that wasn't a difficult answer. But the good news is, sleeping in my own bed has been very helpful. The medication that they gave me, I think helps you to sleep, although it's not for sleep. And that I've slept much sounder since I've been home, much sounder than I was before I got sick. Mm-hmm. And so the very first day I felt a little bit better. Second day a little bit better than that. Third day a little bit better than that. And, I can feel a difference every day. I lost 10 pounds in 3 days, which...
He's happy.
except it's made me incredibly weak. And
right.
For me to get up and go into the kitchen or get up and go into the bathroom and come back, I'm exhausted by the time I come back. Mm-hmm. So,
So obviously we canceled our trip to Paris, and this did, both of us will admit, this did give us pause when it comes to our move to France. But I have to say that it was our son who, at least for me, I think your pause was very like momentarily, more like just a hiccup. Whereas for me, I came home on Thanksgiving Day to grab a change of clothes and a blanket and some other things. And our son, who lives with us, was home cooking this
elaborate,
this whole Thanksgiving dinner because he got off of work late the night before. He came to the hospital, and it was at a time when we didn't know what was going on. And he said, I'm just going to go ahead and make Thanksgiving. And of course, we weren't able to enjoy it until the next day. We were able to
at
have
that point, we weren't even sure we were canceling going to Paris because I asked the doctor, and he said, I don't know yet.
Right. So when I came home, I had said to our son Piers, I said, I'm rethinking our move at this point because this has really scared me. I'm really terrified of what would have happened if this had happened in Paris. And we're so great. I mean, there's so much to be grateful for. We're grateful that of all of the scenarios of things that it could have been, it's the least of any of the worries that we had.
And I think you're misreading my pause a little bit, if I'm being fair. My pause was around, I didn't want to be the first one to say, we can't take this trip. I didn't want to be the one that said, we have to cancel. Even though, to me, if this was only going to improve a little bit every day, that means that today we were getting on a plane tonight.
Right.
And in retrospect, I think I could get on the plane tonight. But when I got to Paris, what condition am I going to be in? Mm-hmm. And the apartment that we got on Rue de la Harpe, which was our apartment when we lived there, is 5 stories up. And I used to go up and down that, frequently. Mm-hmm. And in the condition that I am in right now, I'd be lucky to be able to do it once a day. I don't know what being in Paris would have done to me positively, mentally, that would have made that easier. That's possible. But my pause was more about, I don't really want to be the first one to say we can't go.
So not about the move, because what I was talking about is I pretty much felt that we were going to, from the very beginning, I had a sense that this was going to wind up canceling the trip. But where I was wavering was relative to the move.
Sure.
So I had said to peers, I'm really scared. I'm really nervous about moving. And then later and this is why I bring this up, because later that evening when I was talking to him on the phone, he said, Mom, I've been thinking about what you said about moving to France, and I think you absolutely need to move. He said, I think that this is a reason why a lot of people don't move, is because something like this happens and they get scared. And the fact is, Tony is going to fully recover. And could something happen in France? Absolutely. But what he said is, Mom, you and Tony don't want to be 5 years from now and looking back and saying we should have gone. We should have done it. And I bring this up because up until this point, we have both felt like we've been kind of pushing him and that he really had no choice, because we did give him a choice. I mean, we said you could stay here or you could come with us, but it felt like, to me, like he didn't have a choice, because he wasn't like gung-ho, but he's not like a super emotive person to begin with. But what this told me and told Tony was that he is on board, and he's on board 100%.
Sure. I agree with that completely. The other thing that this told me that you and I haven't really talked about is the importance of learning French. And that, had this happen on the plane, or had this happen on the trip, or if this happens 3 years down the road when we're living there, or a year down the road when we're living there, I'm going to feel much more comfortable being able to communicate.
Speak the language.
And I have every confidence in the French health system. This not about that one bit, but I would feel more comfortable being able to communicate better.
Mm-hmm. And understanding.
Sure.
Being able to understand what people are saying around you. And I also, it made me think about how much more secure I feel, if that's the right word, that Piers is going to be with us.
Sure.
That there's going to be this, that we're moving as a family. There's another family member that is going to be with us. So that feels
Sorry.
good. Are you okay?
Swallowed wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to wrap this up here.
Before I die right on camera.
So our house is still on the market. We are still planning to move, and we are going to be rescheduling our trip to Paris.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. We've already started talking about the rescheduling of that trip. And if you remember this morning, I said to you, we should make a reservation for the hotel. The financial cost of canceling this trip, is negligible. Mm-hmm. The only thing that is not able to be reimbursed is the parking. We had prepaid the parking, which was I think
at the airport,
$140 for
right.
8 or 9 days.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. Everything else is transferable to the next trip, and so I think we have to use it in a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll use it, and much sooner than that, probably soon after we come back from Nice.
So thank you for being here with us. Thank you for caring about us as people, not just as a channel. We appreciate the messages we've received from people who have been asking, where are you? What's going on? And we appreciate you continuing to follow our journey.
And we'll keep you updated. We're excited about, continuing to do this, and we'll see you soon.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.